Hello and welcome, ladies. I'm so excited to be here today. Today is day 5 of Momentum Magic, unlocking time, energy, and abundance. Today, stay tuned because we're going to be talking about how to stop burnout and lean into support. Women, especially, right? We have a hard time asking for what we need. And so, this is really an opportunity for you to tune in. What are you needing? And then to begin to ask yourself, how can I move forward with a greater sense of ease and grace in my life? So I want you to first acknowledge yourself for being here today, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to invest in you. And for those of you who are watching later and maybe we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Carrie Asuncion Helms. My company's name is Keys to Empowerment. And I am passionate about inviting women back to themselves so they can begin to trade overwhelm for focus, confusion for clarity, and the confidence to say heck no to what doesn't serve them, their families, their communities, their businesses, whatever that is. And it starts with calming down your nervous system so you can think more clearly and move forward with a greater sense of confidence. So this week, like I said, it's been a 5-day, each 20-minute segments where we began to really help you tap into a deeper level of befriending yourself. The first one was all about prioritizing yourself to carve out time so that you can create more of what you want in your life. Day 2 was about tapping in to your body's wisdom and beginning to outline your vision blueprint. Day 3, we learned to transform drama to empowerment and swap judgment for compassion. That's using your sage mind. This is a body of work called positive intelligence. And then we took it a little bit deeper the next day. Day 4, we began to identify our saboteurs that are getting in the way of having that full joy and having greater compassion for ourselves and others as we navigate, as we identify ways in which we've kept ourselves stuck. So for those of you, if any of those segments, I'm going to, of course, recommend that you take the time to watch each one of them. But if any one of those in particular speak to you, I'm going to invite you to tune in over the weekend because I've decided I'm going to put a bonus session on Monday. There's been so many questions that have been coming out, and I really want to be able to answer your questions so that we can begin to move you forward. So day 4 was really again about quieting your inner saboteurs using positive intelligence. And basically, the whole concept here is bringing in a deeper level of compassion so that you can respond with curiosity, creativity, and a greater level of clarity. So today, like I said, we're going to be talking about trading burnout and leaning into support. Now, I've been presenting these materials over the past few months, and I have to tell you, it's been really powerful to hear the response that women are getting from just acknowledging that they can ask for support, like giving them permission to do that. So you can either spend a lifetime in overwhelm and burnout, or you can begin to own that you are ultimately in charge of your life and choose juicy aliveness, that sense of really sitting in your joy and your bliss. So part of this is being willing to ask for and receive support. That's our feminine nature, to be receptive. And it has to do with connections and partnerships and really beginning to expand your reach so that doors open that you didn't even know existed, and really allows you to get more stuff done too and freeing your time up. So I'll be sharing with you some examples of that in my own life. And I just have to share with you, I didn't always know this. I came from, and maybe many of you did too, I came from the era where my mom just basically said, suck it up, get it done, suck it up. And I can see on your responses, yes, some of you understand that. And so it wasn't always my strong suit to ask for support. And I can remember early on, I was an HR manager, then eventually a VP of human resources for an international organization. And for the most part, I just put my head down and I got stuff done. And I was eager to position myself as capable. And of course I delegated because I had a staff, but really I took on way more than I needed to. And maybe you can relate to that. And it was taking on way more than I needed to, both personally and professionally, because even though my husband at the time and I were equal wage earners, I was still managing the household, the children, the work, and trying to appear that I had it all together. So in short, I was burning myself out. And there came a time, and maybe you've also had these moments where I just laid on the couch and I could not get back up. It was all I could do was to feed myself and bathe. Basically, my adrenals were shot. And I thought, well, I could power through this. That's what I'd learned to do growing up. But that's the masculine way to success. And really, I was so out of touch with my body, I didn't realize that I that was part of the reasons I couldn't conceive a child. So fast forward, I quit high tech and then I went on to get pregnant. And even while I was nursing a toddler, I went back to school for my advanced degree in psychotherapy, somatic psychotherapy. Kind of crazy, right? Because it's like, I can't believe that I actually did that. I kept on pushing, pushing, pushing. So luckily, I learned eventually that the smart woman's way is to success is to begin to ask for help. But I didn't realize that until I actually became a mother, and it took a village really to raise my children. So I've invested in coaches, mentors, house cleaners, a wide variety of people to help in the process. And most recently, I've hired a VA, which is a virtual assistant, because I'm preparing a worldwide women's collective called Nurture Radiance to help busy, often overwhelmed professionals learn to listen to their body so they don't have to burn out like I did. So they can lean into support and increase their outreach and basically get the resources and ideas to think in different ways, to have a different roadmap so they don't have to work so hard, they can work smarter instead. So honestly, I'm still learning, going through the process, reaching out. But I found after working with hundreds of women through this process that the first thing is to ask ourselves, what do we need? So I'm going to be going through that in just a moment. Okay, so I mentioned that there's all sorts of partnerships, and it's important to consider what you need before you begin to ask. That was really interesting to me. I've been speaking to groups, and I'll say, okay, so what kind of support do you need? And they would look like deer in the headlights. So I'm going to share with you a couple slides so that you can have a deeper level of first checking into what your needs are before we even ask what kind of support you need. This is all about loving yourself enough to put yourself first. Some may consider that selfish, but really we cannot give from an empty cup. So that's what this whole series has been about, is coming back to yourself. And one of the questions that I have for you to establish, I was trying to figure out, how can I uncover where you might be needing support? So this is a wheel of life. This is an exercise that I use with my clients so I can begin to identify where they're out of balance. And so let's even start from the top right quadrant here. So maybe you need some support with your career. It's not unusual for women to come to me needing a business plan or some additional support with marketing, or just the basic structure of how to be in business or connecting with partnerships, let's say. Or maybe you're needing some education on money. And I have people that I refer out my clients out to. I mean, I can help with a certain extent, but I have like investment people that I send people out to get deeper education. So maybe you're wanting a deeper level of comfort and security in your money. Or maybe you're dealing with a health challenge. Like I know that I've been wanting to focus on losing weight. So maybe you're wanting to work with your hormones or your sleep patterns, whatever that is. So another thing is maybe reaching out. Maybe you're wanting a deeper level of connection, with significant others, or a connection with source, with God, whatever you imagine that to be. Or maybe you've been yearning for a deeper level of self-understanding, that personal growth area, or wanting to have more fun as you go after your life, maybe to be able to experience greater time and money freedom. What I call having that the reason we live life is not to work. We actually need to be able to have that balance in our life. So maybe you need somebody to help you with a greater level of having fun and figuring out. I've actually had women where I've said, how can you reward yourself for a job well done? To which they can only think of one or two things, like going out with friends or having a cup of coffee or something. Their life is so much bigger than that. Like this weekend, I'm going to be taking myself out sailing with a group of people. So that's my reward for a week being, full on. Or maybe you're wanting some help with your physical environment to feel like just more comfortable and welcoming and decluttering your space. So you get to decide. This is just like something to kind of scratch the surface. I want you to look at this and consider what might be an area where you could use support today. And so I'm going to take it off of this. And I'm just going to say, and what really, there's all sorts of support. We can have supports with assistance. So that means, like for me in my business, it was a virtual assistant. I'm currently looking for a house cleaner, somebody to help with that. I've worked with feng shui people. I've worked with declutterers. I've worked with, I'm beginning to realize I probably need a coach to help me with weight loss, because left to my own way, it just doesn't happen, right? I have good intentions, but the actual results are not getting there. Or maybe you're looking for strategic partnerships. I call these referral partners, people who can begin to tap into, or who are actually working with the people that you already want to be in contact with. Or maybe you could be using a mentor. And often what I do is I connect people so that they can have informational interviews, so that they can shorten the learning curve on whatever they're up to. So maybe it's a mentor, somebody who can guide you along a path and has basically, you can see that they've been where you want to go. Or maybe expanders, and this is a new word for me. I've been studying a body of work called TBM, to be magnetic. And the concept here is, who are those people who inspire you? Because those are the people that you want to keep in your circle, right? Whether it's virtually or people that you actually know, inviting them into your circle so you can continue to have that deeper level of, I'll call it, inspiration in your life. Or maybe you're needing a coach. Maybe that's the weight loss thing that I was talking about. And those who can get you where you want to go and hold you accountable. I was sharing with somebody just yesterday. I said, success is as easy as 1, 2, 3. You just need to know what direction you're going, what are your blocks, and how to get through them. And then the third is taking inspired action. All three of those are important aspects that coaches help you with. I just happen to have the tool in my toolbox to be able to, I'm an intuitive and I do energy work. So I can begin to take let's call it the road bump out of your way, take it out at the root, shake it and or trim it out, and allow you to have a deeper sense of joy and to get through the bumps in the road. So now it's your turn. Where could you begin to use help? And I'm going to invite you to put that in the chat, or I'm going to actually look at my phone if you decide to do
No,
that.
it's okay. I figured it out.
Okay, great. So maybe it's, like I said, an assistant, or maybe it's a strategic partner or a mentor or an expander or a coach. You never know where your connections will lead. I'll just say that. And I like to give the example of, I have a dear girlfriend. She's been an accountability partner for a number of years. She's a fellow intuitive. And we found each other because I was speaking to a large group in Ventura about business strategies, leadership kind of concepts. And she came up to me afterwards and she says, I don't need a business coach, but I would like you. I really like your vibe. I think that we could be accountability partners. And so for the past 10 plus years, we've shared tools, inspiration, options. We've held each other accountable. And we've went on to be good friends. And basically, she's referred me over $100,000 in business. And I think I've probably done a fair amount for her as well. So I used to think that we had to do it all alone, that made me strong and wise, and and maybe I was a little afraid to show that vulnerability. Now I know that it's a way to expand my life, my business, and expand my reach, to allow me access to tools that I didn't even know were existing. Yeah. And so what I'm hearing is, sometimes there's that need for us to ask for, we didn't even know where we were in that circumstance. And if we're depressed, or if life has given us some difficult times, it's important to reach out. Often I found that it shortens the learning curve, so we don't have to figure it all out. So, have you ever had a coach or a mentor who's opened up doors you didn't even know existed? And I always look at it like walking down a corridor. And because we can walk down the corridor together, I can say, hey, what about that door? Have you checked that out? Or or let's go in that door, even though it might be a little scary, or even though it may hold you back. So in fact, that was my next question for you. What keeps you from asking for support? And I'd actually like you to put that in the chat. Often what I hear is clarity. I don't know what I need. That's one thing, whether you're managing up or you're managing your own life. Or maybe it's like, I didn't want to appear like I didn't have it all together. Whatever your reason is, I have to say it's figure outable. And so the next question is, how can you expand your comfort zone to begin to ask for what you need, to be able to take steps that include inspired action? And you know me, if you've been listening to these over the past few days, I'm going to ask you, it's one thing to get inspired today, to be able to say, okay, I think I could use some help in this area. But I'm going to ask you, what can you do over the next 24 to 48 hours to begin to move it forward? And I like you to be as specific as possible, because what I know, if it's not measurable, then you really can't be held accountable for it. So if you can put even in the chat, what is something that you need some support with? And then we can begin to tease it out so that you can have a greater level of accountability. Let's make it measurable, which is a SMART goal, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So as you write that in there, I'll just say today has been a quick drive. We've had about 20 minutes so that we can begin to ask ourselves, where can I begin to lean into support and acknowledge I don't have to be doing it all alone? And so just ask yourself, what's possible when you can begin to further define your dreams and get the support to move them through? I think that that's invaluable. Like you can't even put a price tag on it. And because I know that I'm here to live life with full, juicy aliveness, and I know you are too. So share in the chat one small step that you plan on doing over to the next 24 to 48 hours to move your dream forward. And that might include calling someone, getting the support that you need, even reaching out to me and saying, Carrie, who do you know? Because I'm very well networked, actually across the United States. Okay, it's great. As I'm seeing some comments in the chat of actual steps that you're willing to take. And I'm going to encourage you to ask yourself, what's a micro step that you could begin to take to establish a community or ability to be able to get clarity on a relationship is what I'm hearing in the chat here. What's a micro step? So that might look something like, if I'm looking at establishing community, I may reach out to the Chamber of Commerce and see what they have going on. Or I might research meetups, or I might talk to my friend Carrie and have her plug me into other people or to brainstorm who I might be interested in. So if you put a time frame on it and get really clear, like I'm looking for people in my community who are uplifting, spiritual, whatever those qualities are. Because what happens is when we get clear on what that thing is that you're going to be doing, it creates a search box in our mind and sorts through the billions of pieces of information that we come up. The question in the chat is, what's a meetup? Meetup, there's a number of online communities that are virtual. They meet virtually and in person. And Meetup is just one of those. And I can share more about that a little bit later when we get off this, when we stop the recording. In fact, I have one the fourth Friday of every month. I facilitate a business roundtable. I have people from all across the United States, sometimes even international, coming to these meetings. So it's really a power play to be able to expand your network of people. But I think what we're talking about here is establishing local community, possibly. So that might look like leaning into brainstorming. And I have some heartstorming processes that I use to do that too. So I just want you to say, put in the chat, yes, if you feel like you need some regular support to gain momentum, to unlock time, energy, and abundance, to really allow your dreams to come through. Many of you who will be watching this are most possibly in your third chapter, which means that you're like, I realize that I only have a set amount of time left on this planet, and I want to make the very most of it. So I'm going to encourage you. Thank you so much for participating and for being here for yourself and for each other. And I'm going to encourage you to show up on Monday also. So I'll answer your most pressing questions. And this afternoon, I'm actually going to be releasing all of the recordings for this past 5 days. And I'm going to encourage you to watch those videos so that you can begin, if you have any questions, I'll answer them, and really to tap back into a robust sense of community. So until then, until Monday, I just want to say live life, enjoy it, fill it with meaning and joy and connection. And I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Blessings.